Canada's Drag Race Season 5 is sort of like someone who just got out of high school and decides that they want to start experimenting a bit. So they go into college their first year and they're like, I'm gonna be bi for a bit and see if I like it. That's what this season is, and I don't know if I've lived, laughed, loved every single experiment they've done this season, but I do applaud them for trying something different. And oh boy, are they experimenting. So let's get into Canada's Drag Race Season 5, Episode 8, What Just Happened? And I gotta know, what did just happen? Alright y'all, so there's a lot to cover and simultaneously almost nothing at the same time. This episode was almost completely non-consequential. This has a lot of impact, but it simultaneously said nothing. That's not what I'm usually used to with Canada's Drag Race, and I think a lot of us are not quite used to that. I think that energy that a lot of you are not connecting with has finally caught up to me, because this episode I felt the least plugged into. Still pretty devastated about Xana going home. She was my absolute number one. Devastated about Perla going home this week. I was devastated about Uma going home. So everyone that I've been rooting for so far has either been eliminated or received poorly. Like, everyone that I like is cursed to go home, and this has happened in many seasons past. So I need to just start picking different people, I think. Xana is truly what TV is made of, and I wish more of y'all saw that. She is so easily standable, so main character energy, so chaotic. I would have loved to have seen what she would have done in this episode, because to be honest, the person she beat out, I think, had such a small voice this episode that I didn't really even notice their presence, to be honest. And that's not to invalidate Virgo at all, it's just they were really quiet. Possibly that could have been the edit as well. Minnie has been super on an upswing all season. She's got 2 wins, no bottoms. I'm really proud of her, and I want her to win, but I'm also worried that if I suggest that to the universe, that she is going to be the first out next week. But she is the one I'm rooting for the hardest right now. I think she has the most interesting story so far, and she's just been delightful to watch. Every time that Minnie's on screen, I'm happy because she just has that thing, that it's star power thing. She does drag for the art and the love of it. That does deserve space and recognition in the winner's circle. RuPaul opens up the video intro by talking about not blaming it on the edit, and that is what I like to do the most, because the edit is extremely important from what actually happened to what we're perceiving in the storylines that they're trying to spoon feed us along the way. So despite Ru's warning, I will be ignoring said message. Brad looked like a snack walking in the room, which I think is new for me. New things are unlocking, finding myself attracted to Brad Goreski. Not that it's bad, I just didn't know I was. Our mini challenge is a green screen field reporter, and you know what? I normally don't like green screen challenges, but this one may have been one of my favorites of all time. I loved them standing in front of the green screen and reacting to what they were seeing on a television in front of them and then creating dialogue. Some of them were extremely funny, and some of them were not that. I think that Xana would have probably gone full Willem's beatdown and would have been reading and roasting the whole time. And I would have loved to have seen the chaos that ensued from that. I thought Michaela had a lot of personality. I thought Perla was quite funny. Helena was doing this odd church mom reading the announcements in front of the 12-person congregation. I enjoyed her performance a lot for the character she plugged into that. But oddly, the winner was Virgo, and I'm gonna be real and honest. I thought when she appeared, she was just talking and saying stuff. And then the Maxi Challenge is a late night talk show called What Just Happened, hosted by Brad. My thoughts are as follows. I think they were too focused on the fact that TS was gonna be the judge. So they tried to do a riff off Bring Back My Girls, and I don't think it was very successful. Some producer at World of Wonder has a bug up their butt this year about a penultimate challenge being a talk show, because we just saw this in Drag Race Thailand Season 3, and I suspect that we might see something similar to this in regular Drag Race in 17. We might see this later on down the year in another season somewhere, because oftentimes ideas travel in 2s or 3s. In 2021, when Drag Race Holland Season 2 was on, they did a glamping challenge, and then like 4 months later when UK3 came out, they also did a glamping challenge. I'm expecting another one of these later on from another season, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't really love the idea of a talk show as the thing that determines whether you're going to the finale or not. Something about it feels really inconsequential It feels lacking in something. It doesn't have depth. And I don't know if it necessarily shows your character any better than like a makeover or a design challenge would. This almost felt more like a reunion with less girls than an actual challenge. And it seemed like a bunch of scrapped ideas all just squished together into a challenge. Also, it seemed to move pretty fast. Each category was just quick and fast paced, and nobody really said anything of tons of substance because the season hasn't aired. They don't know what their storylines are gonna be. They don't know how some of this stuff is gonna play out. And the idea of saying people are watching and loving this and they're asking these questions was a little bananas to me because the season was still being filmed when they did this. So it could have been producers asking questions to feed in content. I don't know, I just thought the acting of it all was not what I wanted for this final challenge. A couple things that I liked were the Mario Party blocks with everybody's faces on it. I thought those were quite fun. My biggest takeaway was Helena saying that not all drag is for children, in the same way that there are TV shows and movies and music and other forms of media and content that are not meant for kids. I think that's important in this day and age where that is a big talking point about if drag should include children, and there are some performers out there that are doing drag that is for families, creating drag that is safe for everyone. Ginger Minj is a great example of that as well. And there are a lot of acts that don't include children and are not meant for them. So I thought that was important to talk about as well. The last thing I need to say about this challenge is that the beauty filter was working extra heavy on Minnie's wig. That forehead was so blurry from that beauty filter. It was like, hello, I can't see through the window. We can't see anything. Whoever was in charge of the beauty filter today went crazy. During the get ready portion, Perla opened up about a very traumatic moment in her life. I feel really bad for her because opening up about your trauma is hard enough already, but spilling that out in front of cameras and probably 25 people that you don't know, and they're all listening and that's all getting recorded, is a lot, especially if you haven't had a lot of time to maybe unpack that yourself. She didn't quite go into detail about that, but I don't think that's our business to know. And I think anytime that people have opened up about things like that, it is a bit of a distraction. I know in times where I've had a lot going on in my personal life and drag was still happening or entertainment was still happening, it was very hard for me to focus on putting out a show because suddenly this box of emotion and chaos was opened and spilled out everywhere, and I was sort of focusing on putting it all back in and sorting it out. And I do think that that energy followed her into the runway and into the final lip sync, all of that. Brooke and Jade was beautiful. Loved the way that she looked. TS looked great, Brad looked great, Tracy looked great. This whole panel today was on 10s. And the runway category is statuesque. I'm gonna be so real, I think the editing was a huge mistake. Again, ignoring RuPaul, we are blaming it on the edit every chance we get. Having Helena start out the runway category, I think was a huge disservice to everyone that came after her. There have been times on the runway where they'll usually save the best one for last, so it has the biggest gasp impact, so that you look at everything else and you're like, whoa, what a way to finish the show. I think it's a huge mistake to front load your biggest gasp moment when everyone else is in things that are absolutely not at that volume. And it's not to say any of the looks were bad. Everything else was like, we're talking at a respectable volume for indoors. And Helena was using her full breath. Helena was so loud that it made everyone else seem quiet. If Helena's look was kind of at the same level as theirs, everything would have been nice and it would have been still a strong runway. All that to say, I think it was a big disservice to everyone in the room to put her first. So let's talk about these. So Helena was doing a Medusa inspiration as an actual statue. She looked like a weeping angel. The details of the cracks underneath the eyes going down the cheeks, the way that she contoured her face, the way that she lined her lip with this dark, and the bodysuit, like Brooke mentioned, I cannot tell where the bodysuit ends and where her neck starts. I'm imagining it's right underneath this toga thing. The hair is crazy good. The mirror prop, the way that her earrings are set, everything is perfect. She took this category and demolished it. Next out is Perla, and I loved this outfit. High fashion moment, high glam moment. If Helena was not first and Perla maybe opened the show, I would have been so much more entranced by this. It's legitimately like putting your ball gown of your runway show as your first, and then your casual wear is next. You open up with the strong casual wear first, and then maybe do your swimwear, and then more casuals, and then more upscale, more nighttime, more runway, and then ball gown. I don't feel like you should put the showstopper at the front. Perla was great though. Next out is Virgo, and I don't have a lot to say about it. It's such a simple gown. There's not a ton of visual interest to me. It's not anything I haven't seen before. I commend her for doing it in gold instead of white because I'm kind of over these togas. And this seems to be an epidemic that happens a lot in the penultimate episode, is a toga. I don't know what that is. It was very low key to me, especially after Perla. It was like my level of gasp went for Helena. And then when Perla came out, I was like, and then when Virgo came out, I was like, Next out is Michaela in a cobalt and gold Nefertiti inspired outfit. I love the hat. I love the garment. I'm a slut for shoulder pads. Love the cape, the earrings. The hair was a really nice choice. I think the orange is beautiful. When she took off the hat, I'm like, what is this fuck ass hair? But she looked stunning. I am endlessly confused by her bottom placement. I can only assume that they wanted to knock Perla out, because if they had put Virgo down there, I think it could have gone either way. Perla's energy was so low, I think she would have probably not tried too hard no matter who was down there with her, but they put Michaela there to make sure that she got knocked out. It was like a steamroller driving over an ant. Finally is Minnie, and I understood the reference. I was familiar with this statue that she's referencing. It's really cool. I like it a lot, but again, I think putting Minnie after Michaela was a disservice to Minnie. It should have been constructed Virgo first, then Minnie, then Perla, then Michaela, then Helena. And I think that would have been maybe a stronger show, and it wouldn't have made some of the others look less impactful with their looks. I was furrowing my brows quite a bit at some of these critiques. It was almost as if they were really trying to solidify that some of them did not win or make an impact in the challenge. This inconsequential, boring challenge, which honestly could have been, should I get ahead of myself? No, let's just do it. Could have been the finale, bring all the girls back, do a small interview style, whoever wins gets 5K, the end. And then they skip all of the intermission of recording and choreography and all that no one really likes or cares about. Show us the final music video and whatever the last bit of the runway is going to be. That could have been better. And then subbed in the makeover challenge, because we don't have one this season. And this is the first, I think, of the whole Canada's Drag Race franchise outside of the Versus the World that don't have a makeover. And I think that's also a little bit of a disservice to the fans. I think we love the show for a lot of different reasons. We come around for the same challenges. And if we're gonna scrap anything from the rubric of Drag Race, it should be Snatch Game, because that's the one that's the most tired and dull. Where the makeover challenge is interesting every time. The judging is suspicious, but the makeover challenge itself is stronger in my opinion than Snatch Game. The makeover challenge itself is stronger than maybe a girl group. So to cut that, I think was a mistake. Helena is the winner of the challenge, which I think is completely deserved on runway alone, because that was a huge slay. I think everyone in the challenge was fine, and there were others that were just not that great. Virgo was one that I thought deserved the bottom the most because the runway was incredibly low profile, and Michaela ate up both the runway and the main challenge. So her placement really only said to me, you're here to knock out Perla. And that also felt bad, because she had just opened up about all of this trauma. Now clearly is in her feelings about it, is in her head about it, and you're gonna just double down and make sure that you obliterate her. That felt bad. They lip synced to Desperate Measures, which was a pretty solid performance from Michaela. Again, you could tell that Perla's energy was just very low. It seemed like she was kind of ready to go. Perla was pulling a Dovima if Dovima had actually tried. I hope that we'll get to see her in a Versus the World or a Global All-Stars or a Canada All-Stars if we ever get such a thing, because I think she would do quite well in that. So here's my theory as of right now. I think it's either going to be Minnie for the representation of it all, considering that she was originally pit crew, that she does this for the love of drag, that she has just done pretty exceptional and hasn't bottomed ever. And I think it's also between Virgo. I want to say that Michaela's got a shot, but I feel like it's more likely that they'll push Virgo through because it seems like if you make an impact in episode 1 and 2, you're gonna get a push to the end. We've seen that throughout Canada's Drag Race history, and I think this season will be no exception. Who knows, I could be completely gagged. If it's another lip sync situation, let's be real, I don't wanna be mean, but I don't think that Minnie or Virgo would be able to beat Helena or Michaela. Here's how I see it playing out. Helena versus Minnie, and Minnie obviously loses that one. And then they're gonna stick Michaela and Virgo together, and Michaela will win that. Then it'll be Michaela versus Helena, and probably Michaela will come out on top. As of right now, this top 4 is extremely reminiscent of season 1 of Canada's Drag Race without Jimbo. It would be like if they pushed Lemon through to the next challenge and somehow ended up in top 4. You've got Michaela, who's got some wins and bottoms very similar to Priyanka, has a track record that just zooms up and down, but is a lip sync assassin for sure. You've got Helena, who was doing strong all season like Scarlet Bobo, but only got a win in the penultimate challenge. You've got Minnie, who has done well all season, has been doing quite good in the same way that Rita was. And then you've got Virgo, a lot like Lemon, with wins and bottoms. And it's just been sort of up and down all season. It's very, very similar to that. So if I'm judging based off of this parallel universe of Canada 1 and Canada 5, it's probably gonna go to Michaela, especially if it's a lip sync scenario like I just described. That's the way that I'm sort of predicting it right now, just based off of the way that the season has gone. Feels to me that both of them are producer favorites, Virgo and Michaela. I feel like the judges really like Minnie, but the camera time and the overall edit focus hasn't really been on her very much. So she seems a little bit like a sleeper. Maybe she'll come back for some Versus the World or All Stars and they'll favor her more then. And then I don't know if Helena's on their radar at all. I think Helena is someone that we as the audience really gravitate towards, but I don't think the people on the ground saw that. So next week, they're making a music video with Orville Peck. Should be pretty interesting. It should be cool to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how this all pans out and if my predictions are even close. What did y'all think about this episode? Did you live? Did you laugh? Did you love? What did you think about the bottom 2? Because decisions were made. I mean, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, I think that based off of the lip sync, it was Perla's time to go. Based off her energy, it was her time to go. But I think a more fair scenario would have been her and Virgo, and I don't know how that would have panned out. I think that Perla has been massively slept on by production all season. The way that she's been edited and pared down all season implies to me that they are not feeling her energy, or that she seems like someone who would turn out the finale and maybe knock out whoever their front runner was. It's reality TV, it's bound to happen, but it does feel bad all the same. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please make sure to subscribe to my alt drag channel. That makes it seem like it's like some underground thing. It is in the description below, Organza Extravaganza. Please go sub over there, because after the finale, all of my Drag Race content will be over there. I've already started reviewing season 17. I posted some more Thailand things. Got lots of hot takes coming for this new year, so please make sure to go sub over there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all on the flip.